What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
To me, the Lions are the #1 rankings out there. Those guys are the ones who really do their homework, you know what I mean?
But this fight, I'm telling you, it's a flip of a coin.
He did not tap.
Let's go! Let's go!
Now back, Don't Tap Podcast. We are hyped up for UFC France moving forward. Pretty excited for Leon Edwards and the champion from the past. We're not going to get into that because everybody's heard enough material on that. But I will say, I said if Usman plays with his food, I think, you know what I mean? I said if he plays with his food, and he even just admitted recently in an interview, he said, I was going for the finish. And he should have played it safe. Who cares what anybody else thinks? Win the decision. And yeah, that's what happens, man. But I believe you owe me something for being the lead of the fan club for the Dolce Lungabula fan club. You're like Humba. And then also Dominic Cruz. So I won't even make fun of that and just say Dominic Cruz. So have at it. This is gonna be back-to-back Shoeys. Unless you just have a tall boy there, whatever, I'll let you off with the tall boy. But let's do this.
Get it over with.
So I'll do a little bit of commentary. So this is Nick Eagle Eye, Mr. Breakdown. He's lost quite a bit. He's got a nice shoe here. He's just about to fill it up slowly. Oh, the way he's filling up right now is going to create a lot of foam. Hopefully this is a little bit of a dirty boot. I don't think he's going to spit in it because we're Canadian. A little bit more civilized. And can't see him on camera, but if anything falls, there we go. Oh no, we're good. See, he's a pro. That's what I thought. I wanted to see like 6 or 7 back. Oh, there we go. We're a little sloppy now. So we got to see. I don't know if that's. I don't even know if that's
fair. We'll make it fair.
Okay, I did say back to back. You did double or nothing, and you did lose, man. You know, you were on your way to win. You were on your way to getting rid of the beard. I did trim it down for you to look cute, but. Back-to-back shoes. Get it fucking down. Let's fucking go. Oh, fucking, it's Bavaria too. Hopefully that's nice and cold. And down the pipe. So if we do one of these, the only rule is you can't have the underdog. Oh, see, there we go. There we go. Immortalized forever on YouTube as a sloppy fucking love it. I love it. Hopefully that clapping doesn't destroy the audio. But that was great.
A liter of beer right down the hatch. So if I get a little slurry or something.
Well, I mean, hey, it's gonna help you with breaking down some of these fights and maybe pronouncing some of these names. All right, so bet done. What I was saying before was next time that we do one of those, though, you can't have a dog, to be fair.
That's fair. Yeah, both times.
It has to be more of a pick 'em, or I got to be on the dog side of it next time we do one of those. Obviously, I can't do a shoey, but we'll figure it out. Now, let's roll forward on the morning of Harry Hunsucker and Wu Yanan and Claudio Silva as they've been released from the UFC. Let's look to UFC France, UFC Paris. I'm pretty excited for this one. There's some good fights on the card, some good spots. As you wipe away the cobwebs from 2 back-to-back tall boy Shoeys and wipe away the foam from your mustache, we're going to dig into this one. We got Gane 10-1-0 against Tuivasa 15-3-0. We got a heavyweight tilt that is really lined pretty horribly right now. I believe it's -550 for Gane to +400 for Tuivasa. It's sitting in around there right now. And if we look at it, man, I can't touch Gane at that price. And I think in most cases, people are going to see Gane likely play it safe, stay on the outside. He's one of the few heavyweights that can actually stay away from power like that. Uses leg kicks, uses teeps, doing what he needs to gauge his range, even his hands, to stay away from the power of Tuivasa. But it's heavyweight, you know, and even talking with Chris Prickett, he's saying the same thing. It's heavyweight. and we got plus 400. I don't know what the line is. Maybe you can share with me the line for KO if it is out right now. What's the line for KO for Tai Tuivasa?
Right now, yeah, I only have the round props.
And that's okay. We don't have it out yet. We don't have it out yet.
Yeah, the not go the distance is minus 270. We have that.
I think there was an under 3.5 was minus 145. I saw something along those lines. I did like that spot. I thought that was a pretty sharp play. I think that I don't think that I really honestly, man, I think either or one guy's going to go out before then. I don't think this is going to go the distance. I think a lot of people are on the Gane side by decision, and well, you might want to keep that as a double down and do a KO and decision. I just think Gane's going to get him out of there a little bit earlier, later in the fight, but a little bit earlier. Anyways, my take on this would be the Gane side, but I mean, I'm not touching it, so therefore it's either going to be a parlay setup to a hedge and or the KO prop for Tuivasa, depending on where it's at right now when it gets dropped. So what's your take on this one? Tuivasa against the guy who is technically more sound, the guy who is more of a higher pedigree, probably the most skilled heavyweight next to the future John Jones coming back in Ciryl Gane.
Yeah, no, so for first off, Ciryl Gane is one of these guys that like I have forever backed. And in his fight against Francis Ngannou, like I was on my way to making over $1,000 on a parlay, was good to go, and I hedged Francis by KO. And it is forever. And this is the worst part about it. Like the difference was like 10 cents on the dollar. Like I think it was like minus or like plus 155 compared to plus 145. Yeah, like there was no value in me taking the KO. So to the point of the breakdown, I agree with everything you said, man. Like this is essentially a Derek Lewis fight in the sense that like we know Tai isn't going to win minutes, but the KO is live. And I feel like that's the only thing you can really touch on this. Because with Ciryl Gane, he's one of these fighters where if he chooses to point fight, this could essentially go 25 minutes, although I don't think it will. If he chooses to grapple, we have seen submissions in the past. And if Tai just gets kind of flustered and gets hit with a big body kick or something like that, we can see him dropped as well. So, you know, like that's probably going to be like plus 1,000 for Tai by KO. If you're trying to play with some money, it's not the worst thing, but I don't see a point where it's playable over Ciryl Gane. So obviously my pick is Ciryl Gane. You assume he's going to outpoint him. There's not really a realm where I think Tai has an advantage other than power. And even then it's, you know, Gane has power in himself. He is a point fighter by trade. Like that's how he chooses to approach.
No one's really been able to stay away from the power of Tai Tuivasa. But I think is there anybody that actually can do it? It is Ciryl Gane. It's going to be in a big cage, and he's going to be able to just move around and do what he needs to do.
Yeah, and like in all fairness, like all the people at the top, like unless you're talking about Curtis Blades, who's a wrestler, but you know, with Derek Lewis, he's going to throw power punches. You know, if it was Francis Ngannou, he's going to throw power punches. Like Ciryl Gane and Volkov are the only two people that could really elevate each other's style in this one, and Tai hasn't fought either one of them. So don't get me wrong, he has done good. I really didn't think he'd beat Derek Lewis, but I just think this is a horrible stylistic matchup for him.
Fair enough. We move on to the next fight in the card. We have Robert Whittaker, 23-6-0 against Marvin Vettori, the Brickhead, 18-4-1. So right now, this fight, the odds are currently sitting at, where are we? We got Vettori at plus 183 and Whittaker in at minus 235. I'm going to let you take it away on this one.
Yeah, so this is a really fun fight on this card, man. I do side with Robert Whittaker because I think that he has the better striking, and I think that's where this fight relatively takes place. Although, like, Vettori could get it to the ground, I just don't really foresee him having the takedowns to be able to do it. There is, like, I do have questions with Robert Whittaker because he recently did come out saying he's planning on moving to 205, and then he's kind of done with middleweight and stuff. So there are these types of things that raise red flags to me. And he also has been dropped in a lot of his fights. So this is a fight where I think it's going to be a lot closer than the line can test. I personally like the fight goes the distance. It's minus 250. I think that's a hammer play on this card because I've had this conversation with a few people, and Marvin Vettori is really good at winning minutes early on. The guy comes out like a bulldog, and if he can push Whittaker up against the cage and just kind of control some sort of grappling element, this fight's only 3 rounds. Robert Whittaker isn't really notorious for being a fast starter, and although he does have a significant striking advantage, I feel like people should be a little bit worrisome of, like, we know what Marvin Vettori is going to do. We saw with Paulo Costa, we saw the fight. He's going to come center of that cage, and he's going to make this a dogfight. And that's how he wins a lot of his fights, because he's capable of winning minutes. So I do think Robert Whittaker's the side. I do think he gets it done by decision, but just I wouldn't necessarily put Robert Whittaker top piece, like a parlay piece, where I see a lot of people doing it. Fight goes the distance is pretty much the same line. And I really can't see a world where this doesn't go 3 rounds.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to completely agree with you on your breakdown. I think that this fight with I was saying before, Vittoria is a brick head. I don't see anybody knocking him out really, and he does push a pace. I could see that Vittoria's gonna actually push that grappling wrestling pace a little bit more in the beginning, and then as he tries to, he gets a little bit sloppier. It's not that he gasses out because he has a tank, but he gets sloppier as time goes on. And if you see later in the fight, you might see that Whittaker actually starts to take over a little bit with the strikes. He's landing some big shots on him. It's going to go to the judges' scorecards, be a little bit sketchy. And you wonder if it's going to be control with some shots and some sloppy strikes in the on the feet versus a little bit more of a combo setup from Whittaker and some putting it together a little bit better. So definitely it is a little bit more of a stay off unless you're going to use this as a top of your parlay hedge instead of the main event. I think that would be a silly thing. I think that's the main event is really the way to go unless the line creeps too wide and Gane has no value at all. But yeah, man, I think Whittaker is going to be able to do what he needs to stay at range or out of range a little bit, just to be able to actually style on Vittoria a little bit more. Vittoria is going to land some big shots on him, I think, but there'll be a little more volume from Whittaker's side. I think he's good enough in the scrambles. If Vittoria wants to take it to the ground, then he can get back to his feet up against the cage, press off, circle off with some elbows, some kicks, some knees. You're just going to see it's going to go back and forth, man. It's going to be a fun fight to watch, and it's more of a fan fight, not a gambler fight, I think, or a betting fight. So we will move on to the next fight on the card. We have Alessio Di Chirico against Roman Kopylov. This is also going to be another stay off for me. If you look at both guys' styles, I mean, both guys haven't been doing so hot. Di Chirico is up and down, up and down. And Roman Kopylov really hasn't had a good showing in the UFC since coming in. Solid stand-up, but just it's not translating well. And I think that all you have to do is show him a little bit of takedown or a little bit of mix-up, and it messes with his game. I don't know if it's a confidence thing, and if it is, maybe he's developing confidence now at this point and is a little more comfortable being around the UFC, and we see a different version. That's been a very common thing that we see after a couple of fights. I would imagine he's probably fighting for his career at this point, or fighting for his UFC contract at this point. I don't think that he would be returning after a loss. On the flip side, we do have Di Chirico, who hasn't fought since his, I was pretty heavy on him, and so was everybody else against his loss to Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. Did not see that coming. 17-second round 1 head kick. So you can't really shit on him for doing anything wrong, really. He got caught early, but at the same time, how does he respond? Like, how does he come back off of a little bit of a layoff? Obviously, a little bit of layoff is necessary because he did get, starched pretty early. Back and forth, though. I mean, he's beaten Buckley, but I think a shittier version of Buckley. But I think back and forth, this should be a fun fight. And it's really, I couldn't tell you what's going to happen. I think we might see a better version of Kopylov than we have in the past. And I think that Di Chirico, it's his time to show up or not. So I'm going to stay off this one altogether because I couldn't really tell you how it finishes. I would imagine it probably won't go the distance. I think someone's going to get caught. But I'll leave it in your court to really break this one down if you see an angle on this.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much of an angle on this one. I said, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with this, where there's a lot of variables in this fight. Di Chirico really hasn't looked good as of late. Like we count that KO, and we'll talk about this guy later, but I don't think highly of Buckley at all. So I was happy to see him KO him, but it doesn't really say much to me. And as for Roman Kopylov, it's just he hasn't been able to show what he was showing in Fight Nights Global. So I think both these guys are kind of fighting for the contract in this one. But I think if you can get a line like Roman by KO or Di Chirico by decision, I think that may be an angle on it. Just because I think that Di Chirico does have a grappling advantage. And I think if he implements that, you're just going to get a slow kind of grinding fight. If you watch a lot of this guy's tape, And the second he gets uncomfortable standing, he tends to push people up against the cage, like try and go for takedowns, although he doesn't have the greatest takedowns. So he can make these fights kind of dirty and grimy. And but as I said, man, it is kind of a stay away because both guys haven't looked impressive as of late, and it's kind of a question of who's really going to come in and show up. So I like to think it's Roman. So for a pick for the podcast, I will side with Roman, just in the sense that I think his ceiling is higher, and hopefully he's learned from his last 2 losses.
Yeah. So Nasrat Haqparast, 13-5-0 against John McDessie, 18-7-0. McDessie, I mean, he's been around forever. I saw him fight at the Rogers Center at UFC 129 against Jake. When George St. Pierre fought Jake Shields, he fought Kyle Watson, and he won that fight. But that was so long ago, and he's been sort of sticking around. And well, the talent's there. I'm going to pass this one off to you. I think the line currently now is sitting at plus 170 dog, plus 180 on some books for the Canadian in McDessie, and Haqparast, definitely now the favorites, and he's coming off a little bit of a skid. But what is your take on this one? Both guys, I will give you a note, did train obviously at TriStar. I don't know if they trained together or not. That was one thing that I didn't get a chance to look into. But how do you think this one plays out, and who gets the win?
Yeah, so I definitely think Nazaret's the side. Like, I think if you look at John Medeski, he's 37 years old. He's been doing this thing for fucking forever, man. I think he joined the UFC in 2011. But my issue with Nazaret is, and I know a lot of people kind of agree or disagree on this method, but like my ROE on Nazaret's fucking terrible. Like, I've bet on Nazaret in pretty much every single one of his fights, and I haven't made $1 off this guy. So it's hard for me to back him in the spot because he's the type of guy that has all the skills to implement a great game plan. He's got good striking, good grappling, but he just can't seem to put it all together. Now with John Medeski, the guy will come out and throw bombs, as you were mentioning. He's a great kickboxer. So, and I think his win against Bahama Mondays is aging well. You can say whatever you want about Roosevelt Roberts, but like, he was like, his striking looked phenomenal in that fight. So I think the line's wide in this one. I don't know if it's wide enough for me to take a shot on Medeski, but it's kind of a complete stay away from me.
If it creeps over 200, I'm taking a shot. Because
I think if Medeski wins, it'll be a KO. Like, I think he's going to catch him.
But he also has the potential to squeak out a split decision. He's done that in the past. So that's a possibility too. We shall see. And we really, one thing that we got to take into account, we do not know what judges are going to be in there. I don't know who the judges are going to be in France. We have no idea.
That's true.
What do they favor? I have no idea. We're going to find out. I imagine there's going to be a lot of kickboxing heavy, but we'll see. So, yeah, and definitely, I mean, if they did get a chance to take a look at each other and actually fight or train with each other at TriStar, it's going to be interesting to see if they had any kind of a take back then. Medeski probably would have played the older brother role, I would imagine.
Medeski is 1-5 or 1-4 in his last 5 fights, where Nazaret is not. Like, Nazaret has won one fight. He's on a 2-fight losing skid. So, and he did lose against Bobby Green, where, in all fairness, Medeski could play a kind of a similar type of kickboxing heavy style, as you pointed out. So this fight could be closer than people think it will be.
For sure. I would have to agree. Next fight on the card, we have William Gomez, the Jaguar, against Jarno Aarons. Not a crazy amount of tape on these guys, but I was able to get a little bit, learn some German along the way. Or I guess I think it was German in the broadcast I got to listen to. And right now we're looking at the dog plus 180 in Aarons against the favorites and Gomez at minus 210. I mean, what I could see in Gomez, the biggest thing is he does have a calculated stand-up game, calculated kickboxing game. He has a sneaky round kick that sneaks over the top. So even when he throws his hands, it's not as straight as what Leon threw. It sort of sneaks over you'll if anybody watched tape on him, you can see it sort of sneaks over as he leans through with his shots, and it comes from nowhere. It's decent. He's got a good body lock, some good cage control. I could see that's where he might win the fight, is actually in a little bit more of the grappling and the cage control. If he can make that happen and slow the fight down a bit, because he's going to have to. In Aarons, I'm sort of liking this dog. For me, yeah, he does leave his head out there a little bit, but I mean, so does Gomez. And if we're looking at it, what was the record here? So we have his last loss was a decision, and that was 2 fights ago. But for the most part, I like his striking. I like his stand up. He has power in his hands. He does leave his head out there sometimes, but for the most part, he's going to push the pace. He's going to lean in on Gomez. I like him as the dog. I don't know what you saw on tape. I just like a guy who's going to come out here and fight for everything. I treat this fight like I would treat a Dana White Contender Series. Both these guys are going to be fighting for their life. They're going to be fighting to make a point. I get it that Gomez is at home against the Dutch kickboxer, but for me, I like Aaron's in this one. I'm going to take the dog shot at plus 180, and I imagine it might even creep wider depending on what the angles are and where the line moves, depending on who's saying what as the week moves on.
Yeah, to be honest, this isn't a fight I have a hard take on. Whenever I tape study these guys, I saw both things that I like and things that I didn't. I think that Gomez is the better striker. I think that he'll be able. He seems like he's very good at countering. That's kind of what I got from the tape, where he kind of waits on people to enter the pocket and he's able to utilize his counter advantage in that sense.
He's pretty calculated.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. But once again, it's lower level MMA. As you pointed out, this is kind of a Contender Series fight per se. But yeah, it's kind of a stay away from me because I think Aaron's may have a grappling advantage as well. And he does throw caution to the wind too. So if that counter punching doesn't work out for Gomez, he could get clipped. I think this fight doesn't go the distance. It's sitting at minus 145. I think regardless which guy, they'll be able to execute their game plan. And I think this line will look wide depending on who is the actual one taking control. But that's the only spot I really like.
What would be your strongest play on this? Would it be an over-under, or what would it be? Would it be a side?
I think fight doesn't go the distance. Minus 145 is. I think that because I think both
guys. But you go with the over. Okay.
Yeah, Gomez is my pick, but I wouldn't lay chalk at minus 220 on him because once again, it's Contender Series shit. So
I get it. We move on to a fight. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't hate you for taking the plus money though. It's definitely worth the stab.
Yeah, I mean, like I saw what you saw. There's cleaner striking on the one side, but the dog just pushes the pace. And yeah, he might get hit, but if he doesn't get tagged enough to get taken out, I mean, he's gonna go for it. So I'm into it. He seems to be a guy that fights for your dollar. I like those kind of people. Yeah. Next fight in the card, we have Charles Air Jourdain against Nathaniel, the prospect Wood. We're looking at a featherweight tilt that I'm pretty excited about. Jourdain coming off of a loss to Shane Burgos, which in my opinion, and I think how he felt afterwards, it was a win. So in my thoughts, at least how his mentality is, I would imagine he feels like, and I had said this already on the other podcast, that at least three wins in a row, and he's got momentum going. He's a savage in there. He likes to push pace. He is a slow starter. We know that he all of a sudden comes out in that third round and he's just nuts. I hope that he can bring that intensity. I would actually like to see him bring that intensity a little more in the second round, actually. Don't go crazy in the first, gauge it and bring that a little bit earlier. Try to put him out earlier or push the pace earlier if he wants to bring a different kind of game plan and throw a very talented Nathaniel Wood off. Nathaniel Wood, solid striking, solid grappler. I say solid striking. He's a solid offensive striker, but he gets hit. And I think it's because he can take a shot, so he's willing to take a shot. It's not that he's this crazy brawler is going in and getting big shots, taking and whatever else. But he goes in and he throws his combinations. He's willing to take a shot on the way in. And I don't know if that's going to be the play for him in this. And I think you knew who I was going to be on with this one. But, if he's a slight favorite, I'll stick with Jourdain on this one. If the line, I don't think the line will go wider, but if it were to go wider, I would likely just stay off it altogether. But I think Jourdain is actually going to win this one, man. I think he's going to push a very hard pace on Nathaniel Wood. I think that although Wood has won many decisions in what would be considered close fights, his fight against Charles Rosa, I don't know, man. I didn't get it. I thought that he would have pushed a better pace on him and been able to get him out early, or at least style on him a little bit more. And don't get me wrong, he looked great in a lot of his exchanges. He was styling on him in the strikes. He was using his clever little trips, his low calf trips. And it was there. I really don't hold Charles Rosa in a high esteem. And I just thought that he was going to do a little bit more in that fight. to make a point. So the problem is, though, now he's facing a savage, he's facing a monster, he's facing a demon, and I'm going to go with the demon, man. I'm going to go with the Canadian, the man who will lick blood off his gloves if blood ends up there. I'm going to go with Charles Jourdain at -135. I think that's the side.
Yeah, I'm on Wood on this one, man. Just because I think that his ceiling's higher. Like, I think a lot of the reason why Jourdain did as good as he did in the Burgos fight is ironically enough because of Burgos grappling. I still think Jourdain has questionable gas tank. Has a questionable gas tank. Sorry. And I think once again, like I think the reason why we didn't see that in the Burgos fight is because he spent 5 minutes laying on his back. It wasn't really working for much. You can say the body triangle would have had an effect on that, but. And whenever he throws caution in the wind, if he doesn't get them out of there, a lot of times he does show some sort of durability issues. I don't think he's the better striker, and I don't think he's the better grappler. I think technically speaking, Nathaniel Wood definitely has those areas covered. It just, to me, this is Wood's fight to lose, which is a weird thing to say because he's the underdog, but it's just because I think that if he goes in there with a solid game plan, he'll be able to win. If he goes in there and lets Jourdain force him into a firefight, that's where he's going to get clipped, or that's where he's going to lose minutes to the judges, because Jourdain will throw flying knees, throw back fists, and just throw hooks from every single angle.
You think it's an IQ thing with Nathaniel Wood, or is it a self-aware thing? Does he realize how good he is? Like, because I agree with you. I think that on the ground he is better than Jourdain. I think that on the feet he is better than Jourdain. It's just Jourdain's ability to bring chaos, I think, will be the difference in this fight if Wood lets it happen, like you're saying. So what is it with Nathaniel Wood? Do you think that it's he doesn't believe in how good he is? Because I think he plays down to the level of people at times, or buys into their game plan rather than running his own.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you look at that Rosa fight, man, he could have finished that fight so many times, but yet he just, once again, as you said, he played to his opponent's strengths and he played to their level of abilities. So I agree. I think he probably has some sort of issues like that. Like, but we'll see how it comes. Because as I said, man, Jourdain's going to bring this fight to him. And we're going to see if those mental blocks he has, is something that he can stay composed with, or if he's going to end up in the fight he doesn't want to be in.
Okay, so Charles Jourdain the side. I'm going to look at some props. I may isolate that fight by itself. I mean, it's more of a pick 'em. So I may mess around with some props just because I really love that fight and see what we can get there. Probably release that a little bit later. Next fight on the card, we have Dustin Stoltzfus, 14-4-0 against Abusapyan Magomedov. And he is 24-4-1. And this is his debut from KSW. And I believe he's fought in PFL as well, too. Yes, that's right. I did see on the tape there was PFL. Now, we're looking at plus 210 on the side of Dustin Stoltzfus and minus 260 on Magomedov. I'm going to let you take this one away because you were actually supposed to jump in the last one. Take this one away and see exactly. I want to see exactly where what you see on the side of this. I know that Magomedov has the power. Stoltzfus likes to play games. What do you think?
I think Magomedov is the side on this one. Like, I think they're kind of giving him Stoltzfus just as like a come up fight. Like Stoltzfus looked okay against Dwight Grant, but he also completely was willing to engage with Dwight Grant in his only win probability in the first round. And as we always say on the podcast, man, you fade poor fight IQ. And I just think that if he's dumb enough to engage in a firefight or in a striking match, he's going to get clipped. And even if this fight goes to the ground, like as much as Magomedov isn't your stereotypical Dagestani Russian, he still is. Like, he still has that in his back pocket. Like, he wrestled to the age of 15. And it's not like he stopped wrestling at that point. He just left Dagestan for Germany. So he still has all these aspects that he can use. So it's hard to find a place where Dustin actually has like an advantage in this fight. And it's also like, is he smart enough to use it? Like, if there's a submission opportunity, is he actually going to capitalize on it? Because once again, poor fight IQ is shown time and time again. So I think Magomedov is definitely the side on this one. The line's wide, but this one's kind of deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. When I first saw this, I didn't realize exactly. I was like, wait a minute, new guy, debut. He's the favorite. What the fuck? And then, I got to take a look at some of his past fights. You take a look at some of the tape. Stoltzfus is going to get pretty much lulled into a striking affair, and it's not going to be nice for him. I think in his last fight, he got away with murder in that last fight. I think, you know, straight up, he just got away with murder in his last fight. He's standing on the feet, and his feet, his footwork's not great. You can set him up really easily as far as the way that he veers one way to the left, to the right. You can walk him into your overhand. So I don't know, man. Stoltzfus likely will get lulled into a striking affair and get put away. But we shall see, man. I mean, MMA is MMA, and we shall see how this rolls. Next fight on the card, Faraz Ziam against Bakal Figlak. So we have Faraz Ziam 12-4-0 against Figlak, who is 8-0, just crushing people for the most part. And this is a fight where I did tell you I didn't get a chance to tape as much as I needed to. This is one where I'm going to lean on you a little bit more. I could look at this as a fate of Ziam, definitely, because I don't know enough about Figlak. I saw a little bit. It's looking like that's what it's going to be, is potentially a fate of Ziam if I do touch this. But I really want to hear what you have to say on this. I want to hear, really, I didn't get, not getting the chance to see anything about the Mad Dog. I want to know what you saw about him in tape and you know, where we're at.
Well, with Figlak, man, I saw like he's a very good striker and very clean leg, has very good boxing. His wrestling's on point as well. It's just his experience to me isn't all there, and that's where this gets a little bit dicey, right? With Ziam, like, you know, people understand he came in as a favorite against Terrence McKenzie. Like, whenever I was looking back on his lines, and I was kind of like wondering, I'm like, why did this guy get cut? Because that's essentially what happened, from my understanding. Is I don't know if he got cut or if his contract ran out, but there was some sort of issue with him being back on the UFC roster, and then he was given this fight. So,
yeah, sometimes their contracts will run out, and then they just wait until the perfect time to set them up for the next fight. So
that's it. So, but I definitely think Figlak is a side here. I think he'll be able to control Ziam and ride this out to a decision. But the line's wide now. I think he's sitting at almost like a -200. This fight opened as a pick 'em, like, and Ziam's got all the UFC experience. So I think if you're smart, you kind of stay away from this one, because you have a guy that the UFC didn't necessarily know if they wanted versus a guy that is untested in the UFC and in a higher level of competition. But fight goes to decision, maybe a play, but that's the only thing I'd even think about touching on this one.
yeah, I mean, this is more of a reconnaissance spot for me. I want to sort of learn a little bit. I'll watch the fight, enjoy it, and then see where I take it from there. Not really big on Ziam, but at the same time, it's not really, there's no angles there for me. So I will stay off that one. Next fight on the card, Nasruddin Amivov. Can't say that last man's name for some reason, against Joaquin Buckley. So we have Amivov, who is 11-3-0 against Buckley, 15-4-0, and Amivov is a favorite, -250 against the +210 dog of Buckley. Now, really, Nasruddin has smooth striking, nice and clean, simple striking, lands shots. Sometimes you don't even realize he'll accumulate shots because his striking is so clean. Power's not necessarily there as much. He can mix in the grappling as well too, and really is the favorite because he has multiple paths to victory. He could pretty much finish this fight in almost every avenue. Versus Buckley, who really you're looking at KO, maybe a decision, but mostly a KO or bust type situation. But everybody is shitting on Buckley, and he's now +210. It's not that I'm going to say scream that I'm going to take the dog shot here, but I think he looked really good in his last fight. I think that I don't know if it was that Duraev was not as good as we thought, or if that Buckley looked really good or not, but he was just piecing him up. He was opening that face up and just fucking him up, and he looked different. Like I'm not gonna like try to fish for something, but he looked a little bit more sound, like a little bit more mentally sound in there. Like he was on point, he was running a game plan, and he was able to take a little bit of adversity, work through it, and I like what I saw. So I mean, it all depends on where this line goes. If people want to continue to jump on the Amivov train, that's all, folks, then I'm gonna take a shot at the dog, man. You know, I'm gonna take a shot at the dog. I got it. Because Buckley has the skills. If he can keep this on the feet a couple times, stuff a couple takedowns, this is a totally different ball game. You know, the lines are going to shift really quick in the first round if he can stuff 1 or 2 takedowns. And then, yeah, okay, on the feet, maybe Amivov can land a little bit more or land some cleaner shots. Buckley's live as fuck, though, and that's a total game changer. So maybe look at this live. But really, I mean, I think it could go either way. I lean Amivov, but man, as the week goes on, I may change my pick and jump on the Buckley train. So, what is your take on this one? I can see it going either way. I can see this almost being like a Amivov winning six times out of 10, something along those lines.
Yeah, man. Like honestly, as I said earlier, I do not like Buckley. Like I don't really think highly of this guy. I think, like, don't get me wrong, I bet against him again, Drive, and I was definitely proven wrong in that one. It's kind of annoying because a lot of people I know were heavily on the Buckley side, and my inner hatred for this man just made me take my own opinion rather than the group of people I know that are maybe more intelligent than me from time to time. From jumping on that train, but it is what it is, man. I think with Duraev, I think that's where we've kind of seen his ceiling and seen what can happen. Even if you look at a guy we mentioned earlier in Roman Kopylov, he had a lot of success whenever he was actually hitting Duraev. So there was some writing on the wall on that one I didn't see. But to me, once again, like a guy that I just can't seem to get it right with, like that Ian Heinisch fight, man. Like I was so convinced Ian Heinisch was gonna do work. And I was sitting there watching that fight, last leg of my parlay, thinking I'm going to cash because I didn't give a shit about that fight. And Amiv just comes here and puts a fucking beating on that ticket, man. Put that one to sleep pretty quick. So,
And was that a Heinisch really isn't that level, or is it that Amivov is that good?
and
You know?
and see, that's what we're going to find
That's what we're
out.
gonna
Like,
find out. Yeah.
this is kind of a showcase, right? Because to me, I agree with you. The line's a little bit unbettable. Amiv being like a 255 or minus 255, whatever he is now, like that's kind of obscene given like the strength that Buckley has. But I do think that if you look at him, he's probably going to be able to keep his distance, land the better strikes. Like Buckley throws wild, and that's why you always have to count him in because he's like a Curtis Blade style fighter. Like, you know, he's going to make the fight dirty. And if he's able to just get Amiv a little bit pissed off or clipped him once and kind of engage in that sort of slugfest, there's a good chance Amiv gets dropped.
Mental note. Amivov is also susceptible to takedowns. Buckley takedown. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think Amiv is a better grappler.
Okay. Next fight in the card: Benoit Saint Denis, the God of War. Oh fuck yeah, the God of War, crazy ass man, against Gabriel Miranda. So this is going to be possibly a fight of the night, as long as it potentially lasts. If it goes to full 3 rounds, it's definitely going to be fight of the night, I think. We have Benoit Saint Denis, who taught us one very important lesson in his loss to Alezo Zaleski. He has heart, chin, and is a fucking zombie. The man will walk through hell and back, even when a referee has money laid on the over. So what we're looking at is he has the heart, that's there. He'll fight for your dollar, that's there. He has the jiu-jitsu, that's there. He has the striking as well, too. Not overly amazing, but pretty decent volume, some good power in his shots. So he is the minus 200 favorite against Gabriel Miranda, who really has a similar amount of chaos that you can see that Benoit will bring to the cage as well, too. But really, and I heard it, and then I watched it on tape and saw it. He doesn't throw any strikes. Not even kicks to maybe let you catch a leg kick to take him down to the ground because he wants his jiu-jitsu to be the main play. Very aggressive early on, trying to get close to you, trying to close that distance, get you down whatever way he can. Willing to let you even, win an exchange to knock him down, to take you down and grab an ankle, whatever he can do. Pretty aggressive guy, but like most aggressive fighters, whether it is in the striking or jiu-jitsu or wrestling realm, if you push the pace too hard, too fast, you're going to blow your load. I don't know if someone's cardio can get better. I don't know if, it's much the same or worse. I really don't know where to go with this fight. I think fight doesn't go the distance is probably already juiced at this point. Not really sure where that line stands, but I think that's the best way to play this. I don't think this is going to see the scorecards. If it does, I'll be really happy about it because it'll probably be an amazing fight. But I might just stay off this one. I think Denis should win this fight, barring, I think, maybe a mental slip and a dry submission early. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same, man. Like, I think this is kind of a showcase fight for Saint Denis, to be honest. I think he's definitely the better striker, the better grappler. Whenever you're looking at his opponent here, and what's this? Sorry, load up the wrong one. And Gabriel, like Gabriel Miranda, if you watch his tape, man, he's kind of doing the same thing as Ben as Saint Denis, where he likes to grapple. His striking looks terrible though. That's the one thing I noticed is he throws kind of real sloppy shots, kind of pretends he's a good boxer, but really doesn't show much with it in order to get takedowns. And Saint Denis finishing all of his fights by submission. I think this fight probably ends up on the ground, and I think one of these guys ends up getting the sub on the other. But as I said, we don't know too much about Gabriel Miranda. Like there was a fair bit of tape out there, but there wasn't a lot. And all we know about Saint Denis is this guy can take a shit kicking, and that if he gets you on the mat, you're in danger. So I like Saint Denis in this one, man. I like Saint Denis by submission.
Yeah, his heart and his chin open up the avenue for him to, win his multiple avenues throughout the fight, right? Like it gives him a chance. And when you have a guy that's not even going to throw strikes anyways, you're just opening the door more. This line might appear to be even like it should be wider when they actually step in the cage together. We shall see. Next fight on the card, we have Khalid Taha against Christian Quinones. Taha 13-4-0 against Quinones, who's 16-3-0. Taha not really doing so hot as far as his most recent fights. Coming off of a little bit of a losing skid here. He is still the favorite. But I mean, losing to Morozov by decision, I got no problem with that. Losing to Barcelos in a fight by decision that he probably could have been taken out multiple times in that fight. I have no problem with that one either. But this man needs to get a win, and I think he knows that. I think he's going to be fighting a little bit more desperate, hopefully not too desperate, because he actually has a great way of sticking around. He is he's a little shorter, so he wings his punches a little bit more, like those tight hooks. The power is generated tight within his realm. If you step within his realm, or if he can close the distance and get you within his realm, his boxing is going to end up tagging, and he has the power there to put anybody out. His scrambles are there, his grappling's there as well too. But the only thing that I could see on tape, if you want to match these guys up against each other, Quinones is, with him, he does have the power there. He's a little bit more wild in his striking. And you can actually sort of see a pattern in his striking. So he'll circle off to the power hand, and he circles off to the power hand quite regularly. And the only time that he circles back to the left or back away from the power hand, he'll jukes out and then he'll go one way, and then he jukes right back again, and almost gives you a tell. And I watched like as much tape as I could to see if I saw something or not. And you can see it in almost all of his fights. He's circling into that power hand all the time. And if he gets close enough, Taha is going to put his lights out. And I think that Taha is the rightful favorite in this. Quinones is definitely dangerous. He's dangerous on the mat. He's dangerous on the feet, but so is Taha. And I think Taha is going to be able to scramble if he finds himself in any situations to get back to the feet. And I think he's going to be a little bit more of the seasoned guy to be able to do what he needs to do in the cage. And I'm going to lean with Taha on this. I didn't know where I was going to pick leaning into this, but after seeing that with Quinones, you can see that he just sort of circles one way. He's a little bit predictable in his movement, his footwork. And if Taha sees it, he's going to touch him.
Yeah, honestly, I'm on the same boat with you in this one. I see a lot of love coming in for Quinones, but like I don't really see it because I said like his original tape to me seemed very sloppy. Like there's a lot that I did not like about it. So, and with Taha, yeah, like
and he looks scary, right? So everybody wants to give him love.
That's it. And like if you think about it, man, like people could talk all the shit about Taha as they want, but like Brandon Barcelos is no fucking joke. Sergey Morzov, no joke. Like it's not like the guy was coming into the UFC and fighting bums and losing. Like he was fighting kind of the top tier. Brandon Barcelos hasn't looked as good as of late, but nonetheless, man, these are still very high level competitors. So I don't really know why the love is coming in on Quinones. Like I will have to see. Maybe I'll see something different fight day. But I think Taha KOs him. I think he KOs him early.
Yeah, I think he's going to touch his chin at some point because Quinones, like there's just multiple times you can see that he's going to get touched. You can just see it. He's just sort of sloppy with hanging his head out there. The one thing I will say about Taha is he's sort of, with his footwork sometimes, he'll cross over his legs and he leaves openings and moments where Quinones might be able to find that gap, right? I really wanted to tape this one because it was one that I hadn't really seen much of Taha. I hadn't really taped much of Taha in the past, so I wanted to really make sure I was on point with this. And yeah, I'm going to be leaning on the Taha side. Right now, like I said, he's sitting at, what was it, the plus or minus
Right now, it's sitting at plus 102 for Christian Quinones and minus 122 for Taha. This line's moved a lot this week, so keeps going in other directions. People don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah, you know what? I like it as an angle, man. I like Taha inside the distance or Taha by KO. KO. I think he's going to find the chin at some point, and that'll be all. Next fight on the card, we have Ailin Perez against Stephanie Egger. Now, first, I'm going to address Stephanie Egger. Anybody can say whatever they want. Did she tap? Did she not tap? And I didn't really see a tap on every angle, and I don't know if it looked like it was that tight. I don't know. But what I did see was the look on her face when she sat up. And I'll go on that. She tapped based on the look on her face. She had this guilty look on her face. She didn't argue anything. And she wants to get right back in there right away. So she tapped to preserve her arm, likely. Tapped probably a little bit prematurely. And now here we are. She's now fighting the Argentinian in Ailin Perez, who is also a kickboxer. Or sorry, I know that, Egger's the judoka, but we have Perez, who's the kickboxer. And I believe she's a purple belt. I'm a little colorblind, though. I was on Instagram just to check to see what her jiu-jitsu background is. I believe she's a purple belt jiu-jitsu, but it's going to be mostly stand-up that she wants to play with. Egger's okay with that. A little bit less volume, but has power in her hands. If she gets her hip in on Perez's hip, she's going to be able to get her to the ground. But, man, if Egger gets armbarred again, her and Jessica Rose Clark can go hang out somewhere in the Food Truck Diaries with Brendan Schaub somewhere or some shit. Like, Egger better not get armbarred again, right? That would be crazy if it happens again. It's not the Perez; it's a lot of submissions on her game. But I mean, if she's progressing and she does have a purple belt, I mean, they could be there. So really, I'm going to stay off this one altogether. Edgar should be the rightful favorite at not minus 350, maybe more. Maybe because it's the debuting fighter, minus like 185 to minus 200. But I'll go with Edgar as my pick, but I'm staying off this one. Likely will go over. I don't see this being a submission situation. It's probably going to stay mostly on the feet. What's your take on this?
I think if this fight stays on the feet, I actually favor Perez. And this honestly doesn't go off much because her level of competition that she has fought is utter dog shit. So other than her last opponent being like 9-4 or 8-4, she really hasn't beaten very many people with winning records. It's a lot of 0-0s and 0-1s, and I think there's a 4-1 in there, but nonetheless, her striking looks crisp. But once again, it's hard to say that against anybody striking looks good against somebody who doesn't know how to punch. So with Edgar, it's fight IQ, man. That's what it comes down to. It's like even that Bruno Silva fight, man. Like she had one path to victory, and I get Edgar wants to like do the whole judo throw, but like. Bruno Silva is kind of known for the armbar. It's like you kind of gave that to her, whether you tapped or not.
Are you taking a dog shot? Is that what you're telling me right now? You're going to fade poor fight IQ?
No, no, dude. I don't think you can get me to bet the dog, but you can never get me to play minus 330 on fucking.
There is a lot of things lined up. It's the first fight of the night. It's women's MMA.
There's a lot of
who's sort of showing poor fight IQ. There's some things lining up here. I'm just trying to fuck with you.
I honestly do. Here's the thing though. This card's gonna be weird for me because I'm about to set my spots because I'm gonna be in Montreal this weekend. So as you know, because we both live in Ontario, gambling laws are weird now. So I can't gamble outside of this province. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to like sit down Friday while I sit at the border between going to my friend's house and that stupid line we have to cross there, and kind of place my bets because after I cross that line, I don't know if I have an app that's gonna let me do it. So, and I won't be drunk while I'm driving.
Something you might be able to do. You might be able to set up another app. I don't know if being from Ontario, if you can or not. But
all I'm saying, if I had a couple beers with me, which won't be while I'm driving, I would definitely put money on the dog here. But considering I couldn't do it in the heat of the moment, I don't think I'm gonna get to the window with it. But I don't hate anybody that does, man. Minus 330 on Stephanie Egger is fucking bananas.
Yeah, it's nuts. I'm looking through it. I don't really see a parlay anywhere here at all. But we'll go through each fight and just say our best bet for it. Cyril Gane, I think he's actually going to get it done inside the distance. But I think just having him you can maybe do KO. But you can even see him submit. So, I mean, it's really hard. See, you're digging for something on something that's so wide, and that's where you get in trouble. It might just be the play to set up Tuivasa by KO, sprinkle the prop if you want to. I think Gane's the side, likely by decision or a late finish by submission or KO. in the 4th or 5th. You go 4 or 5 or decision maybe. I'm just sort of talking this out here, but what would you take on that? Your best bet for that fight?
Over 2.5 minus 130. I don't see
Beautiful.
this fight ending early, and if it does, it's going to be a tie to Tuivasa KO, which I don't think anybody sees being too probable. So I think that's a good line on the over. I think Gane probably point fights.
Next, Robert Whitaker, Marvin Vittori. For me, man, I think looking at fight goes the distance, like you were saying, is probably a good bet, or looking at it over, depending on where the lines are at. Picking a side is really hard. I think Robert Whitaker is likely the side, but I'm going to probably stay off this one too. I sort of like what you were saying about the over. I think the over, or if not even the fight goes the distance. What's that sitting at?
Fight goes the distance is sitting at minus 220.
And or if you want to look at Whitaker by KO and decision, Vittori's likely not getting knocked out, but they might cover an angle for you, depending on where that line drops. D'Chirico against Kopilov. I'm staying off this one altogether. I think I think they're both going to show up. I think it's actually going to be a fight that we didn't see coming. But man, I think fight doesn't go to decision. Is probably the way to play this one, or come some kind of under. What's the line sitting at those?
Fight doesn't go to decision is sitting at plus 130. I don't hate that. I didn't think we'd get plus money on that one.
That's going to be a play. Nasrat Hakparas against John McDessie. What's your best play on that one?
I would sprinkle a Medeski decision, but there's no angle I really like on this one.
Fair enough. Next fight, we have Gomes against Aarons. I'm going to take a dog shot at Aarons. I believe he's plus 185. You might want to correct me in a second. I just saw that although his striking isn't as clean, his volume's there, his heart's there. He's a dog. He'll fight for your money. And he does have a good skill set. He's willing to go in and push pace so hard. He leaves himself exposed. Gomez has a good body lock on the fence. And I know that's only in the little bit of tape that we saw. We could see he does have some control time that he might be able to run, as well as does have some cleaner striking, some slick striking. But man, I'm gonna take a shot at the dog. What's your thoughts on this one? Best play?
Best play, Gomez KO plus 230.
Got it. Charles Jourdain, Nathaniel Wood. I'm gonna go Charles Jourdain all day on this one. I think I'm gonna go Jourdain round 3 or decision. I think he might even bring enough chaos to get the nod in this one. We don't know how the French judges are going to be, so we can't really try to say that we have an angle on what we think is going to happen versus their perception. But I think he's going to bring some chaos. I think he's got a good name for the place he's fighting in, and I'm going to go with Charles Jourdain in this one and take, I believe, what's the line sitting at again?
He's sitting at minus 135 right now.
What's your best bet on this?
Value play, definitely going to be Wood money line plus 115, but I think fight goes to decision minus 110 is the best play.
Then we have Stoltzfus against Magomedov. Magomedov, I like him obviously to win. The line I think is going to be a little bit too wide by the time it gets to fight day. I actually like him round 1.
You like him around 1? Well, I do have a prop on that. That is sitting right now at plus 375. If you do KO round 1, plus 650.
I like KO round 1.
Plus 650.
Done.
Yeah, I like Magomedov by KO plus 285.
Yep, and even if we put both those out, we go a little bit more, greasy, a little bit more safe. Faraziem against Figlak. I'm not even going to give any kind of a take on this one. What's your best bet?
Over 2.5 minus 275.
I like it. Nasruddin Amivov against Joaquin Buckley. I will say this: if that line continues to go wider, I'm going to have to go Buckley. You could actually even attack this fight by itself. You could go Amivov by decision or KO. I don't know if he gets him down to submit him. I don't know if I can see it. Buckley isn't good off his back. Amivov has control time, but I don't know if he gets to a submission. But I think you go Amivov, decision or KO, Buckley, KO, and you could hedge that whatever way you want. But for me, I'm probably going to stay off it mostly. I may just go the dog just to take a dog prop sprinkle. What's your shot? Your thoughts on this one?
I don't think Amiv's the side. I just said it's unbettable. This is a weird fight where the over set at 1.5 at minus 175, and I think this fight goes over because I think the best play is Amiv decision, but I think the over 1.5 definitely secures you in case Buckley gets a late KO as well.
Okay, Benoit Saint-Denis against Gabriel Miranda. Fight doesn't go decision under. I'm not picking a side, even though I think Denis is going to outclass and beat him up. I'm just going to stay away from it. Sure, you could go Miranda by submission round 1 if you want to. but Saint Denis is probably the play on this. There's a lot of fights on this card that you could sort of isolate by themselves and hedge back and forth. But I'm going to stay off this one for the most part, but violence is the play.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the overset at 1.5, so there isn't really much. Fight doesn't go to decision is -240. It's your best play.
Got it. Kayla Taha against Christian Quinones. I think we're both on the same side of this. We're going to take a little bit more of a stance. Taha inside the distance. Taha by KO. I think he's going to catch him. From what we could see, both guys have some flaws in their footwork and what they do. But at the same time, I think Taha has those sort of round, tight hooks. Even some good straight work and the power in his hands. I think he's going to catch Quinones moving sloppily, momentum one way, hook another way, bang, bang, sleepy time. So KO, Taha, give me it.
Yeah, I like Taha by KO plus 350.
Next fight, Aylin Perez against Stephanie Egger. I mean, unless you're going to take the dog shot, maybe go Perez by decision and submission as a play. I don't know what that line will be sitting at. Decision and submission if you want to mess around with it, because it is the first fight of the night, which the dog usually takes, the bone on that one, or at least it's happened a lot more frequent. Women's MMA, if it goes to decision, it could go up in the air. We don't know. What's your strongest play?
I do not have one, but Aylin Perez by submission at plus 1,200. Can't tell me I shouldn't bet that one. I'm definitely going to put a little $10 bet on that.
Okay, little DGen prop play. So I think some of the plays we really like is where we're finding angles that for us specifically is Taha by KO is one of our angles, one of our spots. If we look at what fight we were saying, DiChirico fight doesn't go is the plus 130. I think that's an angle too. But all in all, man, I think we really both dug in this week, had that extra week to really dig into some tape, found some angles, trying to line our pockets while lining yours. I'm Callum McGregor. He's Nick Eagleye. Get ready to do some more shoeys in your future, pal.
Yeah, I plan on it.
All right, man.
We'll see you soon.
So we're coming up to, I meant to tell you too, we're coming up September to the 1 year. So once again, I'll always say this to you guys. If there is any of you on our fan roster, of a very small fan roster right now that still listen and don't enjoy it, then what we got here is a
failure to communicate.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
To me, the Lions are the #1 rankings out there. Those guys are the ones who really do their homework, you know what I mean?
But this fight, I'm telling you, it's a flip of a coin.
He did not tap.
Let's go! Let's go!